this should always be between the patient and the tube. If the patient is AP, apron goes here. Patient is PA, apron goes here. If the patient is lateral, apron goes here. If the patient is oblique, okay? Pretty straightforward, right? It seems simple, but it's very easy when you're working fast to forget. Our most common X-ray is the chest 2 view. It's a PA and lateral. Okay, so you put the apron here for the PA, quickly turn the patient for lateral, shoot the X-ray, you forgot to move the shield. Okay? So it's very easy to forget. Always keep this in mind. All right, so Bonnie, come on over. I'm gonna put this around your back, okay? So if I could have you hold on to this with your left hand. Yes. So I had a really thin patient the other day. Or it might be your jacket. Your jacket may be a little bit puffy. Can you hold on to this with your right hand? Good. Just gonna tighten this up. All right, I'm just gonna bring this around to your back. Okay, so now we are set up. We have our apron on our patient. They are shielded from X-rays. Okay. Okay. So, Bonnie, I'm going to have you step over here, facing the board. So, for our PA chest X-ray, where do we center our central ray?
17. T7?
T7. Good. Where is T7? Oh, that's C7 up there. Oh, you can try and use your fingers. Okay, I see. Ah, yes. So yes, you can use the finger trick to find T7. Right? So, take your fingers, make a fold. This should be approximately 8 inches. Okay, give or take. So T7 is usually going to be about 8 inches inferior to C7, here for vertebral prominence. So right now, if you want, just duck your head forwards a little bit. Start at where the hair meets your neck and just follow it down until you feel the first bony structure. Right? That is your vertebral prominence. When you're palpating for that, you always want to start at the top and palpate downwards. Okay? Don't start at the bottom and palpate upwards because you might end up catching a T-spine instead. Okay, so the first bony prominence you feel when you're palpating from the top is your C7. Okay, so let's see if I can find that. But that is a good point. So back over here for a bit. When you're changing the patients, you also want to check hair. If the patients have long hair or hair that dangles down past the shoulders, that will also show up on X-rays. So ask the patient to bring the hair up if possible. If they have a hair tie or a hair clip, have them clip the hair up top so it doesn't come down into your lung fields. Got it right there? Okay, so you do the phone, one hand here, or one finger here, one finger here. Okay, so this is going to be about the level of T7. Is there any other way you can find T7? If you take a look at where that is right now, is there anything else you can use to find T7?
Your scapula?
Armpit.
Oh, wow.
Okay, axilla, right here. See the bottom of the axilla is right about here at T7 as well. Okay, so right here. Right at that. Just go all straight across. Okay? So you can use the axilla if you can't find the C7, T7. Okay? You could use the scapula, the shoulder blade. Right? The inferior angle of the scapula here is going to be about T7 as well. If you're looking from the front, you can palpate for that jugular notch, right? The top of your sternum where the two clavicles meet. You go down about 3 to 4 inches, mid-sternum, that's going to also be about T7. If you imagine the patient's nipple line, that's also going to be about T7. So you have a lot of different ways to approximate the level of T7. So if you're positioning, keep in mind those locations and then use them to kind of double check yourself. You're like, okay, I think that's T7, but I'll go ahead and check the armpit, or I'll go ahead and check the nipple line as well, just to make sure I am where I think I am.
So if you say achy, I check the nipple.
Right, you can check the nipple line, you can still check the axilla, you can feel for the jugular notch, and you can go 4 inches down
From jugular
from that jugular notch. So just 4 inches, not the whole 8 inches, just about 4 inches. And one thing I do recommend you do once you get home, get a ruler, get your fingers, figure out how many fingers it takes to be 1, 2, 3, 4 inches. Okay, for me, this is about 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches. Okay, it's just something that I figured out by measuring my own fingers. Okay, so you need to figure out for yourself, so when you're measuring, you can approximate distances. Or if you want to be really fancy, you can have your pen and you can make ruler marks on your pen. You can do that as well. Okay, so we have located T7 on Juani. T7 should be right about here. We take our tube and we line ourselves up with that T7. So let me just make sure I'm still in the right spot. From here, we are now going to take our IR and line it up to our tube. Okay, so patient first, line your tube up, line your image receptor up. Okay, we're going to take this and slide it down. And I'm going to turn off the lights for a bit, okay? Our goal is to line up this image receptor with the laser. Right? We want to take this little dot right here, this dot here on the handle, and line it up with the laser. Okay? Do not worry about lining up this black stripe with the laser. That doesn't matter. It's this dot right here, okay? So, Juani is now here against the board. Tube is at T7. The IR is at the same level as the tube, so the IR is also centered at T7. Now we need to center horizontally, left and right. What is this area right here that separates her left and right halves? What is this called?
Medial.
Good, mid-sagittal plane, the MSP. So we are going to center at T7, and we're going to center at the mid-sagittal plane. Okay, how do we find the mid-sagittal plane? Easy way, look for the spine. Right? Spine is going to be at the mid-sagittal plane. So, okay, here's your spine. I'm going to slide you to the left. Small step to the left, please. Good, right there in the middle. Okay, so do you see that? Spine all the way down. That is our MSP. If you cannot find the spine, or if the patient has scoliosis and the spine is crooked, what else can you do to get yourself at the MSP? Well, one thing you can do is you can use the collimator light. So the collimator light should be the same distance from the middle as well. So what you do is you take a look at the patient, the light goes this far on the patient's back, so the light goes this far on the patient's back. The light should go the same distance on the patient. So you should have the same amount of light and the same amount of shadow. If the patient was off center, okay, so now we have shadow here, but we have light all the way up until here. Do you see that? So that can tell us we are not at the MSP. So we back to this, right? So we want to match the light, match the shadows, and match the spine. Does that make sense? All right, everyone's nodding right now. I hope that's a good sign.